I think about, I participated in a workshop when I was 22 of working on the koan, Who Am I? And after 3 days of constantly engaging with that question, I had like a glimpse of, oh, I know who I am, of course. And I burst out laughing and I said, well, what a stupid question.
That's right. It feels stupid.
Yes.
It does.
The thing is, okay, so in my case, and I think in many people's case, that's not enough, because it's like even realizing, oh, I've always known myself, who I am, and it's so obvious. So that was kind of the experience, and then I forgot that, or it didn't have the impact, a lasting impact. It kind of gave me confidence that it's possible to know what I knew for that brief moment, to know it all the time. So I had took away the doubt.
What did you know?
I don't know if I can say that. I knew directly who I am. And I knew that I've always known that. There was no other way, because it was so. It's a knowing that's no different than being.
So now you know it. Well,
Yes.
You know it. You're describing it, only you didn't give it the significance, nor do you now. That wasn't a glimpse you had. That was let's call it the eternal moment.
Mm.
It was a transformative moment. It was short, and you convinced yourself it went away. But you described it so clearly that you remember the feeling of it, the knowingness of it. You just described it.
That's right.
So it's still there.
Yeah.
Okay, so there was a lapse in the time period, but you can still find it 30, 40 years later.
Yes.
So that's it. That's the first stage of realization, this transformation. You get a glimpse. If you happen to be in the right environment at the right time with the right people, somebody would have said, whoa, that's fantastic. Mm-hmm. And you would have then given it the significance it deserved, and you wouldn't have worked at forgetting it. Mm-hmm. It's very funny. You said, you don't know if I could describe it, and then you described it. Right. You described it perfectly. You described your present state of consciousness perfectly.
Well, I said I don't know if I can describe it because it's not a memory. So it's not something that I can. But So this is interesting that I said I can't describe it, and then I described it. Mm-hmm. Because in order to describe it, you have to actually dive into it.
You have to go into it. Otherwise, you couldn't have described it. And you could say it's a memory. You could say it isn't a memory. But it's the natural state of human consciousness. So you could very easily say, well, nothing happened. Mm. I've always had this.
Yes.
And that's what you said.
Yeah.
The main thing about experience is if there's a person, then there's an experience. If you're alive, you're having experience. Yes. Your eyes are working, your ears are working. Self-realization is an experience as well, because there's some qualities there. The quality is knowingness, the quality might be bliss, might be love, might be connectedness, might be expansion, many different qualities, maybe even sight. Some people see the self, it's just a shimmering field. Some people feel it, some people know it, but it has those qualities.
Yes.
Something tells you you're having this experience. It's also an experience, it's the fundamental experience into which and through which all that other stuff, all the other experiences function.
It's an unusual experience because the definition of experience is a response to stimulus, I think, or something like. Basically, it has to be a response to something, and this is not a response. This is like an ever-present.
Yeah, it's very interesting,
Yeah, it's an interesting point. It's a state of being. It's a state of being.
Yes.
You sound very much like an awake person to me. Well, you do. You make these profound statements and you don't even know you're making them.
Yeah, I'm happy to stay in my ignorance. It enables me to ask interesting questions.
Absolutely. I'm a big advocate of individuality, and most people in the self-realized state or in movements and modern aren't big. They're not that big on the individual. They think the individual has to calm down and maybe even go away. I'm the opposite of that. I think the individual is having the experience. It's even an individual having the experience of self-realization. I mean, imagine somebody who isn't an individual having an experience at all of any kind,
Right.
however abstract it might be. So it's an individual having the experience. Now, the thing is, we think of individual like that. It's a little thing, I can only think that, I'm different from you. Fundamentally, the individual is having an unbounded experience. So eventually, the individual is going to go into that whole sphere of unbounded awareness, so that all your senses are functioning on a bigger level, not just I know that I am that. What's that old Indian saying? I am that, thou art that, all this is nothing but that. Everybody's heard that. All that means is I am that. There's the self. Thou art that. Now your senses are functioning. Oh, you realize that even that person is nothing but my experience. And all this, that would be the whole universe, is nothing but me. That's it. You're it. But it starts with I am. I am that. But you notice there's an I there. It's not it is that. I am that. I'm the experiencer of the self. There you go. It has to be an experience if there's an I, and if there's that, anything. There's a mechanic between them. There's a process between them.
I think why I've had for many years, and I think I still do have trouble with the individual, is that there isn't really a relationship in the self-realization, right? There isn't like oneself experiencing something that is not oneself.
That's a very interesting question. And the answer is yes and no. It's both. Because in order to have an experience of unbounded consciousness, you have to kind of become that consciousness. But you have to be aware of it. So who's aware of it? You have to say something like, the self is experiencing the self. That sounds like one thing, but it has to be kind of two united in oneness. All the great teachers have always said it's the self experiencing the self.
Right.
It's not the little self experiencing the big self. It's the big self experiencing your version of the big self to that universal version. So there is two-ness in the oneness.
The process of the experience.
Yes, the process of the experience is there. That's right. Hey, I want to do a little number on you. Okay? It's a little bit of a technique, a process. So you described the feeling that you had, and you described two transformational experiences, and even though you said they went away, it sounded like they didn't. So do you, at this moment, feel that there's some silence or stillness or something there that grounds you, or is some silence, some stillness in you right now?
Yes.
Okay. Is there, okay, now your eyes are open. You're looking at me and Kathy and everything else, so you're having that experience while you're using your senses.
Yeah.
So do you feel that feeling makes you feel separate from me or anything else?
No. It's
That's unity consciousness. You just described it, or I described it for you. That's self-realization. If you have you got the silence, the stillness, you don't necessarily know what it is, but you know it's there, and you don't feel separate from anything. That's the unity. That's the unity, not feeling separate. It's a very delicate thing. It's not like you feel unified, but you don't feel separate. That's the same thing as unity. There's a state of consciousness which I would call unity, or a unified sense of consciousness. That's kind of full realization. Your senses are functioning, your eyes are open, you're alive, you're not eyes closed meditating. That sense of the self is there. And not only is the sense of the self is there, there's no separation. So what you've in essence done is you united the outside with the inside. That's what you've done. It's subtle. You might not have thought of it that way, but you described it to me. You don't feel separate. You're looking at me. Your eyeballs are working and your ears are functioning, but you don't feel separate from the experience of Kathy and me here. That's a unified sense of consciousness. That's self-realization. If it's there at will, which is, I just asked you, you said it is.
Let's look at our experience right now.
We just did.
Yes, but I need to slow down a little bit for myself because.
Of course you do.
Huh? So, my experience right now is that I exist as an individual. So I'm aware of myself sitting on this.
Yeah, we should see you the same way.
Yes.
You're sitting over there.
That's right. And I'm like in a endless ocean that permeates everything and permeates this me as I'm sitting here. So I don't experience myself as being this ocean. In a way, I experience myself as this little person sitting here, but I'm permeated, and I can't separate myself from the infinite space.
So who's permeated?
Permeates me.
So there's your relationship. You just said it. You just not recognize the I-ness, I amness of that ocean.
That's right.
Yet.
Yes. So that's what.
That's normal. That's completely normal. It's completely normal.
Okay.
Because it isn't the little I that's in there. It's the whole show. That's how you said it. It permeates all space and time, including you.
Yes.
That's the big self. I am that wholeness of the ocean.
Well, but that wholeness of the ocean doesn't need me as this individual.
Yes, it does.
Here.
Yes, apparently it does. It's not going to go away.
It wouldn't go away
That's
if I
right.
disappeared.
No, it'll stay there.
Yes. So how is it me?
You are that ocean. That's how it is. You're not recognizing the relationship between the I and the abstract value of the ocean. So you have to get to the next stage. But it's still, how can you put it?
Big Amir and little Amir. Like our friend Big Dan and little Dan. There's both those values together coexisting.
You said that it permeates you. You're a little person over there sitting in this little chair.
Yes.
But that motion permeates you. You're made out of the same stuff as that ocean.
That's right.
That makes you, as the little person, the experiencer of the ocean.
Yes.
It does.
Uh-huh.
It's subtle. I don't think anybody in the early days of self-realization realizes that what? I am that whole thing? It's too abstract because the I is the whole thing. The experiencer is the whole experience. The little self that you're used to identifying with doesn't know what the ocean is yet, until the little self over time will become the big self as well, without eliminating the little self. That's the process of growth after unity consciousness.